the UNSC Infinity had been conducting routine slipspace calibration tests near a Forerunner artifact designated Installation Echo 419 when the universe decided to rewrite the rules of physics. Captain Lasky, we're detecting anomalous readings from the artifact. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Palmer's voice cut through the bridge's steady hum of activity. The Spartan 4 commander's combat instincts were screaming warnings that sensors couldn't yet quantify. It's resonating with our slipspace drive. Dr. Glassman, what the hell is happening? Dr. Henry Glassman, the Infinity's chief engineer, stared at readings that made no sense according to human understanding of Forerunner technology. The artifact is amplifying our slipspace field by orders of magnitude. It's creating a cascade reaction that, oh God. Captain, emergency shutdown, now. All stop, Lasky commanded, his hand slamming the ship-wide alert. Engineering, kill the slipspace drive. Too late. The Forerunner artifact pulsed, with light that had last been seen when the galaxy was young, when beings of incomprehensible power had shaped reality itself. The energy surge tore through space-time like tissue paper, and the UNSC Infinity, all 5.6 kilometers and 907 million metric tons of humanity's most advanced warship, was pulled through a hole in existence into somewhere that shouldn't exist. Inside the ship, alarms wailed. 300 Spartans across all programs, the last survivors of humanity's super soldier initiatives, felt their augmented bodies react to gravitational stresses that would have liquefied normal humans. Master Chief Petty Officer John 117 gripped a bulkhead with strength that dented the reinforced titanium, his Mjolnir Gen 3 armor shields flaring as reality bent around them. Cortana, Chief's voice remained steady, despite experiencing what felt like being simultaneously everywhere and nowhere. Report. We're transitioning through something that's not conventional slipspace. The AI replied, her holographic form flickering as she processed data streams that violated known physics. Chief, the mathematical framework underlying this space is completely different. We're not in Kansas anymore. We're not even in the same universe. Then, as abruptly as it began, the transition ended. The Infinity emerged not into the familiar star patterns of human space, but into the middle of the largest space battle any UNSC crew had ever witnessed. Multiple contacts! Tactical's voice carried panic that UNSC naval doctrine had spent decades training out of officers. Hostile vessels engaging each other. We're in the middle of a Jesus Christ, how many ships are there? Captain Thomas Lasky's eyes widened as the Infinity's holographic display populated with hundreds of unknown vessel signatures engaged in brutal combat. Not Covenant. Not Insurrectionist. Not Forerunner. Completely unknown ship configurations using weapon systems that defied UNSC classification. All hands to battle stations, Lasky commanded, his command voice cutting through confusion. Helm, evasive maneuvers, weapons, charge Mac batteries, Spartans, prep for boarding defense. I want to know what we're looking at in the next 30 seconds, or we start shooting anything that targets us. On the view screen, the battle unfolded with savage intensity. Sleek Earth Alliance Omega-class destroyers exchanging fire with ornate Centauri Primus-class battlecruisers. Pulse cannons and particle beams lanced through space, creating light shows that would have been beautiful if they weren't deadly. And in the distance, impossibly large and rotating slowly, like a technological prayer wheel, sat a structure that made even hardened UNSC officers pause. Babylon 5. 5 miles of rotating habitat rings, docking bays, and diplomatic chambers. The last best hope for peace in a galaxy the UNSC didn't know existed. "Sir, we're being hailed," communications reported. "Multiple frequencies, multiple languages we don't recognize, and wait, one signal is in English. Audio only. Patching through." A voice with refined British accent came through the Infinity speakers. "Unknown vessel. This is Ambassador Jeffrey Sinclair of Babylon 5 Station. You have entered a combat zone between Earth Alliance and Centauri Republic forces. Identify yourself immediately and state your intentions, or you will be fired upon by both sides. This is your only warning." "Earth Alliance?" Lasky repeated, looking at his XO with confusion. "Centauri Republic? Cortana, am I having a stroke or did we just get seriously lost?" "You're not having a stroke," Cortana replied, her holographic form appearing on the bridge's central platform. "But lost doesn't begin to cover it. Captain, based on stellar cartography analysis and the complete absence of any recognizable constellations, we're not in our universe anymore. We've somehow transitioned to an alternate reality with completely different history, different species, and based on those weapon signatures, significantly inferior military technology." "Inferior?" Palmer interjected, watching as an Earth Alliance destroyer took direct hits from Centauri fire and exploded in a brilliant fireball. "Those ships are tearing each other apart. Compared to UNSC standards, their weapons are primitive," Cortana analyzed with AI precision. "Energy weapons with approximately 1/10 the yield of our Mac batteries. No energy shielding on any vessel. Armor plating that our ammunition would penetrate like tissue paper. Captain, in terms of raw firepower, the Infinity could probably engage this entire battle group and win." "Let's not test that theory," Lasky replied, his tactical mind already processing the nightmare scenario. Stranded in unknown universe, surrounded by hostile forces, with 300 Spartans and 10,000 crew depending on his decisions. "Communications, respond to that hail. Tell them we're..." "Sir." 3. "Contacts breaking from the Centauri formation," Tactical screamed. "They're targeting us. Weapons hot. Incoming fire." 3 Centauri Vorlons-class warships, elegant vessels bristling with ion cannons and fusion missiles, had apparently decided that the massive unknown ship represented either a threat or a prize worth claiming. Their weapons opened up in coordinated salvo that would have crippled an Earth Alliance destroyer. The beams struck the Infinity's shields and dissipated like raindrops against a windshield. "Shields holding at 98%, Tactical reported with disbelief. "Sir, their weapons barely scratched our paint." "What are these things shooting?" Harsh language. "They don't know that," Lasky replied, his command instincts taking over. "To them, they just attacked an unknown vessel with everything they have. We need to respond in a way that makes them think twice about doing it again without killing anyone. Cortana, can we disable those ships without destroying them?" "Easily," the AI confirmed. "Their reactor signatures are primitive fusion plants. I can target them with precision Mac rounds that'll punch through their hulls and disable power systems without triggering catastrophic failure. Probably. 73% confidence they won't explode." "That's not exactly reassuring," Lasky muttered. "But we're out of options. Weapons. Load sub-Mac batteries with low-yield kinetic penetrators. Target the lead Centauri vessel's reactor. Fire on my mark." The Infinity's sub-Mac cannons, designed for point defense against Covenant corvettes, but still carrying more kinetic energy than anything in the B5 universe, aligned on the lead Centauri ship with targeting precision that would have impressed Forerunner weapons designers. Mark. The MAC round fired at a fraction of the weapon's full capacity. A gentle shot by UNSC standards that still crossed the distance between ships faster than human eye could track. The tungsten penetrator struck the Centauri warship's engineering section with surgical precision, punching through hull plating that had been designed to withstand energy weapons but had no defense against kinetic projectiles traveling at 30 kilometers per second. The Centauri ship's lights died. Its weapons went offline. Its engines sputtered and failed, and the vessel began tumbling through space, completely disabled but intact, its crew alive but thoroughly shocked. What in Vorlons' name was that? The voice came through still open communications. Different speaker, different accent, carrying authority. Unknown vessel. This is Captain John Sheridan of Earth Alliance Station Babylon 5. You just disabled a Centauri warship with a single shot using a weapon system we've never encountered. Identify yourself now, or I'm calling in the cavalry. Lasky exchanged glances with Palmer and his senior staff. This was first contact. Humanity had protocols for this. Protocols developed after the disastrous first meeting with the Covenant, refined through centuries of diplomacy and warfare. But those protocols assumed meeting aliens in their own universe. What were the rules for meeting humans from an alternate reality? This is Captain Thomas Lasky of the United Nations Space Command Vessel Infinity. We are... He paused, recognizing how insane this would sound. Not from your universe. We've experienced an unexpected dimensional transition and find ourselves in unknown space. We have no hostile intentions toward anyone here, but we will defend ourselves if attacked. We request permission to approach your station to discuss our situation and hopefully find a way home. Silence on the other end. Lasky could imagine the chaos his statement had just caused. Not from your universe was probably not a phrase Babylon 5's command staff heard often. Then Sheridan's voice returned, carefully controlled. Captain Lasky, that's quite a claim. You're saying you're from an alternate dimension? And you just happen to arrive in the middle of an active war zone? Unintentionally, Lasky confirmed. Our slipspace drive interacted with an ancient artifact in ways we didn't anticipate. The transition was not voluntary, and we're as surprised as you are. Captain Sheridan, I understand your skepticism, but I'm prepared to prove our claims. However, I'd prefer to do so in a less active environment. This battle around us, can you broker a ceasefire long enough for diplomatic contact? I can try, Sheridan replied, his voice suggesting he was already regretting this conversation. But the Centauri aren't going to be happy about you disabling one of their warships. And frankly, neither is Earth Alliance Command. You just demonstrated military capability that exceeds anything in known space. That makes you either the galaxy's newest superpower or its newest threat. Stand by while I... Contact! Tactical interrupted with urgency that made everyone on the Infinity's bridge snap to attention. New vessel signatures emerging from hyperspace, designating as unknown hostile until confirmed otherwise. Sir, these readings are weird. The ships are... I don't know how to describe this. They're showing on sensors, but also not showing. Like they're phasing in and out of reality. On the tactical display, new signatures appeared. Vessels that looked like someone's nightmare, rendered in black metal and organic curves. Ships that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Designs that hurt to look at because they suggested geometries that shouldn't exist in three-dimensional space. Shadow vessels. Ancient warships from a race that had been manipulating younger civilizations for 1,000,000 years, possessing technology that made most spacefaring races look like children playing with toys. And they were very interested in the UNSC Infinity. "Sir, I'm detecting some kind of scanning beam from those vessels," Cortana reported, her voice carrying unusual concern. "It's not like any sensor technology I recognize. It's probing our hull, our systems, trying to access our databanks. I'm blocking it, but Chief..." Her hologram flickered. "Whatever these things are, they're old and sophisticated, and they really want to know what we are." "Can you identify them?" Lasky asked. "Negative. But based on the energy signatures and the way they're phasing in and out of normal space, I'd estimate their technology is at least on par with Forerunner equipment. Maybe better in some respects. Captain, these things are dangerous." On Babylon 5, in the station's command and control center known as CNC, Captain John Sheridan watched the tactical display with growing horror. The shadow vessels, 6 of them, more than had been seen in one place in years, were converging on the unknown vessel that called itself Infinity. And based on what Sheridan knew about the shadows, this was not a welcoming committee. "Get me Ambassador Delenn," Sheridan commanded, "and Ivanova, prep all defense grids. If the shadows engage that ship, we're going to have debris raining down on the station, and somebody find out if anyone on that ship knows what they're getting into. UNSC Infinity Bridge. 47 seconds to first contact with ancient evil. Captain, the unknown vessels are hailing us," communications reported. "Audio and something else. Sir, they're broadcasting directly into our computer systems. Cortana is blocking most of it, but they're trying to interface with our AI." "The hell they are," Palmer growled. "Cortana, can you trace that signal?" "Already on it," the AI replied. "And Chief, you need to see this. The signal isn't just data. It's some kind of hybrid approach that combines electronic transmission with something else. Almost like they're trying to communicate on multiple levels simultaneously, including psychological. Captain, these beings are attempting to manipulate our crew's perceptions just by broadcasting at us. Cut the transmission," Lasky ordered immediately. "Can't," Cortana replied. "It's not coming through conventional channels. This is hard to explain. It's coming through the fabric of space itself, like they're using quantum entanglement or subspace resonance or something that makes our technology look primitive. I can filter it, but I can't block it entirely. Someone wants to talk to us very badly." "Then let them talk," Lasky decided. "But on our terms. Cortana, establish secure channel. Audio only, heavily filtered through your firewalls. Let's find out what these things want." The voice that emerged from the Infinity speakers carried harmonics that human ears weren't designed to process. Tones that suggested vast age and patient malevolence. Words that seemed to bypass auditory processing and insert themselves directly into consciousness. "You are new, unexpected, not of this cycle, not of this reality. Yet here you stand, powerful, numerous, technologically sophisticated. We are curious. How did you find your way to this place? And more importantly," the voice carried something that might have been dark amusement. "Whose side will you choose in the war that has raged since your species was learning to make fire?" "Identify yourself," Lasky demanded, his command voice showing none of the unease he felt. "State your intentions and explain what war you're referring to." "We are known by many names across many ages," the voice replied. "The younger races call us shadows. We are the ancients who shaped civilizations, who tested the worthy and destroyed the weak. We have watched galaxies rise and fall. And we are very interested in you, Captain Lasky of the UNSC. Your weapons, your soldiers, your artificial intelligence, all fascinating, all potentially useful." "Useful for what?" Palmer interjected, her Spartan combat instincts screaming that they were being sized up as either tools or threats. "For the war between order and chaos," the shadow vessel replied. "Between evolution through conflict and stagnation through peace. The question is not what we want from you, Commander Palmer. The question is what you want. Power, knowledge, a way home. We can provide all three. We can show you wonders your forerunners never achieved. All we ask in exchange is cooperation." "That sounds like a threat dressed as an offer," Cortana observed. "And based on their behavior, I'd estimate 96% probability they're lying about at least half of what they just said." Before Lasky could respond, another transmission cut through. Different frequency, different source. A voice that carried harmonics that were somehow the opposite of the shadow's malevolence. Ancient but benevolent, powerful but restrained, cryptic but honest. "Do not listen to the shadow's lies," the new voice stated with absolute authority. "They are the darkness that consumes, the chaos that destroys, the ancient evil that has plagued this galaxy for 1,000,000 years. I am Kosh of the Vorlon Empire, and you..." There was something almost like surprise in the voice. "You are something I did not foresee. Something not in the pattern. This is disturbing. This is dangerous. You must be evaluated. You must prove you are ready. Or you must be removed before you disrupt what must be." "Oh, good," Lasky muttered. "We've got competing ancient aliens trying to recruit or destroy us. This day just keeps getting better." "Cortana, are these Vorlon things the good guys, or just a different flavor of threat?" Analyzing their broadcasts against the shadow transmissions, Cortana replied. "Best assessment. Neither side is good in any sense we'd recognize. The shadows represent evolution through conflict, survival of the fittest taken to cosmic extremes. The Vorlons appear to represent order and discipline, but the kind that eliminates free will. Both sides have been manipulating younger races for eons. We just became the newest piece on their game board. Then we remove ourselves from the board," Lasky decided. "Helm, plot course away from both these groups. Best speed, heading..." "Sir, the shadows are blocking our path," Tactical reported. "They've positioned their vessels in formation that prevents us from departing without going through them. And now the Vorlon ship is moving to... I think it's trying to block us from the other direction. They're hurting us." On the view screen, the tactical nightmare unfolded. Shadow vessels to port. A massive Vorlon organic ship emerging from hyperspace to starboard. Earth Alliance and Centauri forces still engaged below. And Babylon 5 station ahead, representing the only potentially neutral ground. "Captain Sheridan, this is Infinity," Lasky transmitted. "We're coming to your station, whether you grant permission or not, because staying out here is rapidly becoming untenable. Please do not fire on us. We're taking docking position, and we're bringing company. Specifically, 300 Spartans who are really eager to get off this ship and stretch their legs. Fair warning, if anyone tries to board us without permission, they're going to have a very bad day." "Understood, Infinity," Sheridan replied, his voice suggesting he was already composing the report that would give Earth Alliance Command heart attacks. You're cleared for docking at Bay 13. It's our largest bay, and the only one that might accommodate your ship. But Lasky, once you're here, we need to talk. Because you just became the biggest story in the galaxy, and everyone from Earth to the Rim is going to want a piece of you. I hope you're ready for the diplomatic nightmare you're about to walk into. I'm not, Lasky admitted honestly, but I've got 300 Spartans who are very good at solving problems that can't be fixed with diplomacy. Let's hope it doesn't come to that. Babylon 5, Docking Bay, 13, First Contact, Ground Level. The Infinity was too large to fully dock. Its 5.6-kilometer bulk dwarfed the station's largest bays. Instead, it took position outside the station, while Pelican dropships ferried personnel to the docking facilities. And leading the first shuttle was Master Chief Petty Officer John 117, flanked by a fire team of Spartans who'd fought the Covenant for decades and weren't impressed by much anymore. They were about to be impressed. Babylon 5's docking bay was organized chaos. Humans in Earth Alliance uniforms, Narn refugees with spotted skin and manes of hair, Centauri diplomats with elaborate crests, Minbari in flowing robes, carrying themselves with warrior pride, and dozens of other species the UNSC had no names for. It was the most diverse gathering of intelligent life any human from the UNSC universe had ever seen. And every single one of them stopped what they were doing to stare at the Spartans. 7-foot-tall super soldiers in half-ton powered armor stepped off the Pelican with weapons held ready, their movements suggesting combat training, so ingrained it was instinctive. Chief's shields shimmered slightly in the station's atmosphere, and his visor swept the bay with targeting systems that identified every potential threat in microseconds. Cortana, Chief sub-vocalized through his helmet's internal comm assessment. 47 different species represented in this bay alone, the AI replied, her voice carrying fascination. None of them have shields, powered armor, or weapons comparable to Covenant technology. Most interesting are those. She highlighted 3 Minbari warriors who'd taken positions near the bay entrance. Those beings are watching us with tactical assessment that suggests significant combat experience. And they're armed with weapons that, while primitive by our standards, are wielded with expertise. One of the Minbari stepped forward, older, carrying himself with authority that transcended military rank. Delenn, the Minbari ambassador, studied the Spartans with eyes that had seen the Earth-Minbari War and recognized warriors when she encountered them. "I am Delenn of Mir," she said in precise English, her voice carrying accents that suggested she'd learned the language but wasn't born to it. "On behalf of Babylon 5, I welcome you. Though I confess," she studied Chief's armor with interest that bordered on concern, "I have never seen warriors quite like you. Your armor, your weapons, your bearing. You are soldiers, yes? But also, more, enhanced, augmented, made into something beyond normal humanity?" Chief remained silent. Years of ONI protocols about operational security were deeply ingrained, but his silence itself was answer enough. "Thought so," Delenn said quietly. "We have heard legends of such things. The Dilgar created enhanced warriors during their war of conquest. The shadows have transformed beings into instruments of their will. But you," her eyes narrowed, "you chose this? You serve willingly." "We serve humanity," Chief replied. His voice filtered through the helmet's vocoder into something flat and emotionless. We protect those who can't protect themselves. We fight so others don't have to. That's what Spartans do. Noble purpose, a new voice interjected. Captain Sheridan, approaching with security escort that seemed painfully inadequate, given they were facing super soldiers. But it raises questions. You've got 300 warriors like you on that ship, and weapons that can disable our best warships with single shots? That makes you the most powerful military force in this sector, maybe in the entire galaxy. So I need to know, what are your intentions? Are you conquerors? Protectors? Something else? We're lost, Chief said bluntly. We want to go home. We don't want to conquer. Don't want to interfere. Don't want to become part of whatever political situation you've got here. We just want to find a way back to our universe and continue fighting our own war against our own enemies. That's refreshingly honest, Sheridan admitted. But you've already interfered just by being here. You disabled a Centauri warship, attracted the attention of the Shadows and Vorlons, and demonstrated military capability that's going to make every government in known space either want to recruit you or eliminate you. Like it or not, Master Chief, you're part of our universe now. The question is what you do with that. Before Chief could respond, alarms wailed through the station. Red lights flashed, and over the station's communication system, Commander Susan Ivanova's voice carried urgency that made everyone freeze. All personnel to battle stations, multiple shadow vessels breaching hyperspace within weapons range, all fighters launch, all defense grids online. This is not a drill. The Shadows are attacking Babylon 5. Chief's training kicked in instantly. Commander Sheridan, where do you need us? Sheridan stared at the Spartan, processing the offer that shouldn't be possible. Warriors from another universe volunteering to defend a station they'd arrived at less than an hour ago. Can you fight in 0G? Sheridan asked. That's where we're most effective, Chief replied. Then suit up and prep for combat, Sheridan decided, throwing the dice on trust that might doom or save his station. Because if the Shadows want you badly enough to attack Babylon 5 to get you, we're about to find out just how good you Spartans really are. Welcome to Babylon 5, Chief. Try not to break too much of my station while you're saving it. Chief turned to his fire team. Spartans, Linda 058, Kelly 087, and Fred 104. Blue team, humanity's finest, veterans of countless battles against enemies that had threatened to extinguish their entire species. You heard the captain, Chief said simply. Spartans, let's show this universe what we do. Outside, shadow vessels converged on Babylon 5 with weapons that could crack planets. Ancient evil eager to claim or destroy the UNSC interlopers. Inside, 300 Spartans prepared for combat against enemies they'd never trained for. In a war they didn't understand, defending people they just met. Because that's what Spartans did. That's what heroes did. And the Battle of Babylon 5 was about to begin. Talk to me, Ivanova! Captain Sheridan bellowed as he sprinted into CNC, the station's nerve center already alive with organized chaos. Officers shouted coordinates. Tactical displays showed 6 shadow vessels approaching in formation that suggested this wasn't reconnaissance. This was an attack with intent. Commander Susan Ivanova stood at the tactical station, her face carrying the particular expression of someone who'd seen impossible things become routine at Babylon 5, but was still capable of being shocked. 6 shadow vessels, approaching from 3 vectors. They've positioned themselves to cut off any escape routes and are actively jamming hyperspace in the local area. Nobody's jumping out, nobody's jumping in. We're isolated, Captain. Earth Force reinforcements? Sheridan asked, already knowing the answer. 40 minutes out at best speed, Ivanova replied. Minbari warcruiser White Star is in the area, but refuses to engage shadows without direct orders from the Grey Council. Narn and Centauri, forces that were fighting each other 5 minutes ago, have both withdrawn to neutral positions. Everyone's waiting to see what happens. We're on our own, except... She pulled up feeds from the docking bays, except for them. The displays showed Spartans moving through Babylon 5's corridors with tactical precision that made station security look like amateurs. Blue Team had already secured the station's most vulnerable points: reactor access, life support, command pathways. Without being asked, their combat instincts identifying critical infrastructure faster than station personnel could brief them. Other Spartan teams were deploying to weapons emplacements, fighter bays, and external defense positions with efficiency that suggested they'd trained for this exact scenario despite never having seen Babylon 5's layout before. They're treating this like a Covenant boarding action, Sheridan observed, with mixture of concern and appreciation. Securing strategic points, establishing defensive perimeters, preparing kill zones. These aren't soldiers playing hero. These are professionals executing doctrine that's been refined through actual warfare. Should we be concerned they're securing our critical systems? Ivanova asked pointedly. Right now, I'm more concerned about the ancient evil trying to kill us, Sheridan replied. We'll worry about whether our new friends are trustworthy after we survive. Status on Starfury wings? Alpha and Delta wings launching now, Ivanova reported, watching as Earth Alliance's fighter craft, small, agile spacecraft with distinctive split-wing configurations, poured from Babylon 5's launch bays. But Captain, Star Furies are designed to fight ships with mass and momentum. Shadow vessels phase through normal matter. Our fighters have been practicing anti-shadow tactics for months, but actual combat effectiveness is theoretical. Then let's hope theory meets practice, Sheridan said grimly. And someone get me Captain Lasky on the Infinity. If his ship is as powerful as that first shot suggested, we're going to need every advantage we can. Reality twisted. That was the only word for it. Space itself bent as shadow vessels dropped out of hyperspace directly above Babylon 5. Their nightmare geometries making human eyes hurt. Their weapons already charging with energy that suggested malevolent intelligence behind the targeting systems. And they opened fire. Babylon 5, external hull, Section 7, Spartan combat deployment. Master Chief had fought Covenant forces on Halo rings, flood infections in the depths of High Charity, Promethean constructs in Forerunner facilities, and rogue AIs threatening to destroy humanity. He'd seen weapons that could crack planets, enemies that could tear through Marine battalions like paper, and situations that would have broken lesser warriors. But watching shadow weapons strike Babylon 5's hull while phasing through conventional defenses was something new. Cortana, analysis, Chief commanded, his Mjolnir armor's shields already recalculating defensive parameters against weapons that operated on principles his equipment hadn't been designed to counter. The shadow weapons are using some kind of quantum phasing technology, Cortana replied, her holographic form appearing in Chief's HUD. They're not hitting the station with conventional energy or kinetic force. They're destabilizing the molecular bonds of the hull itself at a quantum level, making matter forget how to be matter. It's elegant, terrifying, and completely different from anything Covenant or Forerunner tech does. Around Chief, Linda 058 had already set up a sniper position with her SRS-99 S5 AM sniper rifle. Kelly 087 was running tactical calculations for rapid assault scenarios, and Fred 104 was coordinating with 30 other Spartans deployed across the station's exterior. "Can we shoot them?" Kelly asked with characteristic directness, her armors active, camouflage already engaged. "Unknown," Cortana admitted. Shadow vessels phase in and out of normal space. When they're phased out, conventional weapons pass right through them. When they're phased in to attack, there's a brief window where they're vulnerable. Maybe half a second. You'd need perfect timing and overwhelming firepower to... Linda's sniper rifle fired. The 14.5 Hunhern 14mm armor-piercing, high-explosive round crossed 3 kilometers of space in under a second, guided by targeting systems that could track Covenant Banshees at full combat speed. It struck a shadow vessel during its brief moment of phase-in, and the alien ship's shields, or whatever defensive system it used, flickered under impact that shouldn't have been possible. That got its attention, Linda observed calmly, as the shadow vessel pivoted toward their position, weapons charging with energy that promised retaliation. "Chief, I think I just made them angry." "Good," Chief replied, his BR-55 battle rifle coming up as he calculated intercept trajectories that would have seemed impossible to non-augmented humans. "Spartans, focus fire on that vessel during its next phase-in. Cortana's timeline suggests half-second windows. We coordinate, we overwhelm defenses, we prove these things can be killed. On my mark." The shadow vessel phased in, weapons glowing with apocalyptic intent. "Mark!" 30 Spartans opened fire simultaneously, with weapons ranging from battle rifles to rocket launchers to experimental Forerunner weapons they'd recovered during the war. The combined firepower struck the shadow vessel during its moment of vulnerability, and for the first time in a million years of warfare, shadow forces encountered infantry that could damage their vessels through small arms fire alone. The alien ship reeled, its exotic armor scoring under assault that combined precision accuracy with overwhelming volume of fire. It phased out immediately, retreating to reassess enemies that shouldn't be able to hurt it. "Did we just teach ancient evil to be cautious?" Fred asked with satisfaction. "We taught them that infantry with the right weapons and timing can kill them," Chief corrected. "Now they'll adapt. And when they come back, they'll come back harder. Cortana, transmit our combat data to all Spartan teams. If we can hurt these things, everyone needs to know the timing windows." "Transmitting now," Cortana confirmed. "But Chief, we've got bigger problems. 3 more shadow vessels are converging on the Infinity, and they're not attacking. They're trying to board." UNSC Infinity, main hangar bay, 17 seconds to boarding action. Captain Lasky watched the tactical displays with growing concern as shadow vessels maneuvered around the Infinity with disturbing intelligence. They weren't attacking the ship. They were probing it, testing defenses, looking for entry points. "They want to capture the ship intact," Commander Palmer observed, her Spartan armor already sealed for combat. "They want our technology, our weapons, our AI. They think they can just take the Infinity? They don't know who they're dealing with," Lasky replied grimly. "All Marines to repel border stations. All Spartans not deployed to the station form defensive perimeter around critical systems. If these things want the Infinity, they're going to have to go through 300 of humanity's finest warriors to get it. Palmer, you have operational command of shipboard defense. Show them why boarding a UNSC vessel is a terrible idea." Palmer's grin inside her helmet was absolutely feral. With pleasure, sir. Spartans, let's give these ancient aliens a history lesson about trying to board a ship full of super soldiers. Fire Team Majestic, you've got engineering. Fire Team Crimson, secure the bridge approaches. All other teams, roving defense. Hunt anything that doesn't belong, and eliminate with extreme prejudice. The shadow vessels made their move. Instead of conventional boarding craft, they simply phased sections of their own hulls into the Infinity's corridors, creating interdimensional doorways that bypassed the ship's armor entirely. Through these portals emerged shadow soldiers, beings that looked like insectoid nightmares, rendered in black armor, wielding weapons that crackled with the same phasing energy as their ships. They were fast, lethal, experienced in combat across thousands of worlds over millions of years, and they ran directly into Spartan the foes, who'd been raised on stories of the Covenant War, who'd trained to fight enemies that had genocided humanity across dozens of worlds, who considered impossible odds to be standard operating procedure. The first shadow soldier emerged in Corridor 7A and encountered Spartan Tedra Grant of Fire Team Majestic. It raised its weapon, some kind of exotic energy rifle that would have disintegrated standard marine armor, and fired. Tedra dodged with augmented reflexes that made her appear to teleport the phasing beam, missing by centimeters, and returned fire with her M45 tactical shotgun at point-blank range. The UNSC weapon, designed to punch through Covenant elite energy shields, proved equally effective against Shadow Soldier armor. The alien combatant went down hard, and Tedra stood over its body with satisfaction. Contact neutralized. Corridor 7A, she reported. Shadow soldiers are tough, but not invincible. Standard kinetic weapons are effective. Recommend all teams maintain aggressive posture and close quarters engagement. Throughout the Infinity, similar encounters played out. Spartans versus Shadow Soldiers in brutal corridor combat that showcased the UNSC's 4 centuries of military evolution. The aliens had technology and experience. The humans had training, augmentation, and sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. In engineering, Fire Team Majestic held the reactor access points against waves of shadow soldiers, their coordinated fire creating kill zones that even phasing technology couldn't bypass. In the bridge approaches, Fire Team Crimson used the Infinity's internal defenses, automated turrets that Cortana had upgraded with anti-phasing algorithms, to channel enemies into ambushes where Spartan accuracy proved devastating. But in Hangar Bay 3, something unexpected happened. Palmer had been coordinating defense from this central position when reality tore open, and something that wasn't a soldier emerged from the shadow portal. It was larger, more armored, and carried weapons that pulsed with energy that made Mjolnir armor sensors scream warnings. Contact, Hangar 3. Palmer transmitted, even as she opened fire. Unknown, hostile, heavily armored, weapons reading as, "Oh shit, everyone get clear." The Shadow Champion, something analogous to a Covenant Hunter or Forerunner Knight, an elite combatant far beyond standard infantry, raised its weapon and fired a beam that didn't just phase through matter, but unmade it. The hangar bay's floor simply ceased to exist where the beam struck, molecular bonds dissolving into quantum uncertainty. Palmer dove clear, her shields absorbing splash damage that would have atomized her without Mjolnir protection, and came up firing with everything she had. MA-5D assault rifle, M6H Magnum pistol, and a fragmentation grenade that should have killed anything short of a tank. The Shadow Champion walked through the explosions as if they were minor annoyances. "Cortana, Palmer shouted, recognizing a threat level beyond her team's immediate capability. I need backup in Hangar 3. Something big and mean just crashed my party, and standard weapons aren't cutting it. Chief is en route from the station, Cortana replied. ETA 4 minutes. Can you hold? Do I have a choice? Palmer retorted, coordinating her team into defensive formation that bought seconds at terrible cost. 2 Spartans went down, not dead, their armor's medical systems keeping them alive, but out of the fight. We'll hold, but someone better figure out how to kill this thing before it decides to walk through to engineering and unmake our reactor. 4 minutes was an eternity in combat. Palmer knew it. Her team knew it. The Shadow Champion knew it too, advancing with patient malevolence that suggested it had all the time in the universe. Then reality tore again, but not a shadow portal. A Pelican dropship, coming in hot through the Infinity's emergency launch protocols, firing its autocannon at the Shadow Champion before it had even fully entered the hangar, and from its troop bay emerged Master Chief with Blue Team backing him. Palmer, sit rep, Chief commanded, as he advanced on the Shadow Champion with weapons that represented humanity's most advanced military technology combined with captured Covenant and Forerunner systems. Big, mean, really likes dissolving things at molecular level, Palmer reported, falling back to let Blue Team engage. Standard weapons slow it down, but don't stop it. We need something with more punch. Got it, Chief replied, pulling a weapon from his back that made Palmer's eyes widen even inside her helmet. A M41 Spenkiar rocket launcher, loaded with experimental munitions that Dr. Halsey had been developing. Everyone clear the blast radius. Cortana, override safeties on this thing. I need maximum yield. Chief, those rockets were never fully tested, Cortana protested. They could destabilize the ship's hull integrity if... We'll repair the hull later, Chief interrupted, targeting the Shadow Champion with systems that had been perfected through years of fighting impossible battles. Right now, we prove nothing is unkillable. Not Covenant, not Forerunner, and not ancient evil that thinks it can board a UNSC vessel without consequences. He fired. The rocket crossed the hangar in a heartbeat, and the Shadow Champion tried to phase out. But Chief had timed the shot for the precise moment it was phased in to attack. The experimental munition struck true, and the resulting explosion wasn't just kinetic force. It was a cascade reaction that Dr. Halsey had theorized could disrupt exotic matter at quantum levels. The Shadow Champion was vaporized, not killed, not damaged, completely atomized at a level so fundamental that even its phasing technology couldn't protect it. Silence fell across Hangar 3 as Spartans processed what they just witnessed. Master Chief had killed something that ancient evil probably considered unkillable, using weapons that shouldn't theoretically work against it, through timing and tactics refined over decades of combat against the galaxy's worst threats. Hangar 3 secured, Chief reported, as if he'd just completed routine patrol. Palmer, status on other boarding teams? Being pushed back or eliminated across all decks, Palmer replied, her respect for Chief climbing even higher. Whatever you just did to their champion, it scared the hell out of the rest of them. Shadow forces are withdrawing through their portals. I think we just convinced them the Infinity costs more than they're willing to pay. Good, Chief said simply. Cortana, seal all breach points. I want those portals closed before they decide to try again. And someone get medical teams to the wounded. We held this ship, but we paid for it. Let's make sure the cost wasn't too high. As medical teams rushed to aid fallen Spartans and engineers began assessing damage, Captain Lasky's voice came through ship-wide comm. All hands, the shadow vessels are withdrawing from the Infinity and from Babylon 5. I repeat, hostiles are withdrawing. Stand down from combat alert, but maintain defensive postures. And someone tell Master Chief that between disabling Centauri warships and killing shadow champions, he's made quite an impression. Welcome to Command Staff Meetings, Chief. You've earned a seat at the table, whether you want it or not. Babylon 5 Station. Observation Dome. 2 hours. Post-battle. Captain Sheridan, Ambassador Delenn, Commander Ivanova, and several other station personnel stood in the observation dome, watching the Infinity hover outside the station like a technological deity, its hull showing scorch marks from shadow weapons but otherwise intact. Around them, Earth Alliance, Minbari, Narn, and even Centauri representatives gathered with expressions mixing awe, fear, and calculation. They fought off 6 shadow vessels. Londo Mollari, the Centauri ambassador, said with mixture of respect and concern. 6 ships that have destroyed entire fleets in the past. And these Spartans not only survived, but killed shadow soldiers in hand-to-hand combat, even inflicted casualties on the vessels themselves using infantry weapons. I've been in politics long enough to know what this means. The balance of power in this galaxy just shifted dramatically. Agreed. G'Kar, the Narn ambassador, added with barely contained excitement. Captain Sheridan, these UNSC forces, they could be the advantage we need against the Centauri occupation. Weapons that can kill shadows can certainly break Centauri blockades. We must negotiate an alliance with them immediately. Absolutely not, Londo protested. The UNSC has demonstrated hostile intent by attacking Centauri vessels without provocation. They are clearly agents of chaos who must be contained or eliminated before they expose your weapons smuggling to the 10 Rings? Sheridan interrupted coldly, pulling up intelligence that Cortana had helpfully provided after accessing Babylon 5's data networks. Before they reveal that you, Londo, personally authorized the sale of Centauri weapons to terrorist organizations that then use those weapons to capture Captain Lasky. Funny how that works. Londo's face went pale. Those were legitimate sales to authorized buyers who sold them to terrorists, G'Kar finished with dark satisfaction. Londo, you may have just given the Narn Republic the leverage we need to bring Centauri war crimes before the full council. And given these UNSC forces proof that you're exactly the kind of arms dealer they despise. Congratulations. You've made enemies of the most powerful military force to arrive in this galaxy in 1,000,000 years. Gentlemen, Delenn interrupted, with voice that carried authority despite its soft tone. Focusing on past crimes misses the larger picture. The shadows withdrew. They withdrew because they encountered resistance they did not expect and could not immediately overcome. This is significant. The shadows have not retreated from combat in living memory. Yet today, they retreated from a single UNSC vessel and 300 warriors. This changes everything about the Shadow War. The Shadow War, a new voice interjected. Master Chief, who'd arrived silently despite wearing half a ton of powered armor because Spartans were very good at being quiet when they wanted to be. Ambassador Delenn, we've heard that phrase twice, now. Cortana has theories, but I'd prefer to hear from someone who actually understands this galaxy's politics. What is the Shadow War, And why do ancient aliens care so much about one UNSC ship? Delenn studied the Spartan with eyes that saw beyond armor to the warrior within. The Shadow War is a conflict that has raged for 1,000,000 years, though only recently has it escalated to open combat. Two ancient races, the Shadows and the Vorlons, have been manipulating younger civilizations as part of their philosophical conflict. The Shadows believe evolution comes through chaos, conflict, and survival of the strongest. The Vorlons believe in order, discipline, and guiding younger races toward predetermined paths. Both sides use younger races as pawns in their eternal game. And we just became a new game piece, Chief observed. Worse, Sheridan added, you became a game piece that doesn't follow the rules. The Shadows tried to recruit you. I intercepted their transmission. The Vorlons tried to evaluate you. Kosh mentioned you disrupted the pattern, whatever that means. Both sides want to either control you or eliminate you because you represent something neither planned for. A major military power that isn't from this universe and doesn't owe allegiance to either ancient faction, which makes you the most valuable asset in known space, Gakar said bluntly. Captain Sheridan, the Narn Republic formally requests military alliance with the UNSC. We can offer star charts, intelligence on Centauri positions, access to our resources. The Centauri Republic also requests alliance, Lundo interrupted desperately. Despite our unfortunate misunderstanding with the disabled warship, we recognize the UNSC represents power that could benefit all civilized races. We offer technology exchange, trade agreements. Earth Alliance formally claims jurisdiction over the UNSC vessel as a lost colony of humanity, Senator Arnado announced, having arrived specifically to assert Earth's claim. Under Colonial Administration Act of 2156, any human colony rediscovered after separation falls under Earth authority until proper reintegration. We're not a colony, Chief interrupted with flat finality that made the senator pause. We're not from your Earth. We're from a completely different universe where your government doesn't exist and your laws don't apply. We're not interested in your jurisdiction, your trade agreements, or your political games. We want to find a way home, and until we do, we're staying neutral. Neutrality isn't an option, Sheridan said quietly. I wish it were, Chief, but it's not. You're here. You're powerful. Every faction in this galaxy is going to try to recruit you, manipulate you, or eliminate you. Staying neutral just means you make enemies of everyone because nobody can afford to let their rivals recruit you first. You need allies, Chief. And right now, Babylon 5 is your best option. Why? Chief asked, bluntly. Because we're the only faction in this galaxy that actually gives a damn about doing the right thing instead of the profitable thing, Sheridan replied with conviction that surprised even himself. We're not perfect. We make mistakes. We compromise when we have to. But fundamentally, Babylon 5 exists to prevent war, protect innocent people, and stand against the Shadows and Vorlons trying to manipulate everyone. That sound familiar, Chief? Because from where I'm standing, the UNSC and Babylon 5 have a lot in common. We both fight to protect people who can't protect themselves. We both refuse to accept that might makes right. And we both just made permanent enemies of ancient evil. Seems like a natural alliance to me. Chief was silent for a long moment, his visor reflecting the stars beyond the observation dome. Then, I'll discuss it with Captain Lasky. But Sheridan, understand something. If we ally with Babylon 5, It's not as subordinates or dependents. It's as equals, sharing common cause. The UNSC doesn't take orders from anyone except UNSC Command, and UNSC Command is currently unreachable in another universe. We make our own decisions. We follow our own code. And if your politics require us to compromise that code, we walk away. Clear? Crystal, Sheridan replied, extending his hand. Welcome to the neighborhood, Chief. It's a terrible neighborhood with awful homeowners association rules and the occasional ancient evil trying to destroy reality. But the coffee's decent and the rent's cheap. Well, assuming you don't count constant existential threats as rent. That part's expensive. Chief shook the offered hand with careful control. Spartan strength could easily break an unaugmented human's bones, and something approaching alliance formed between two warriors from different universes united by common cause. Behind them, political representatives from a dozen factions began calculating how to exploit, recruit, or eliminate the UNSC now that neutrality was clearly impossible. And in hyperspace, Shadow and Vorlon forces both retreated to reassess strategies, planning their next moves in the eternal game that had just gained a player powerful enough to flip the board entirely. The UNSC had arrived in the Babylon 5 universe, and nothing would ever be the same. UNSC Infinity War Room, 36 hours after initial contact, the holographic display dominating the Infinity's command center showed a star map that looked nothing like UNSC space. Jump gates instead of slipspace routes, territories claimed by species humanity had never encountered, and vast swathes marked in ominous red designating shadow-influenced space, or Vorlon Protectorate. Captain Lasky stood at the center, surrounded by his senior staff, Commander Palmer, Dr. Halsey, Master Chief, Cortana's avatar, and several Spartan team leaders. They'd been reviewing intelligence for 18 hours straight, and the picture emerging was both fascinating and terrifying. Let me make sure I understand this correctly, Lasky said, exhaustion evident in his voice. We've somehow transitioned into a universe where humanity is one minor power among dozens of spacefaring civilizations, where two ancient races have been manipulating everyone for 1,000,000 years, where telepaths are weaponized as intelligence operatives, and where our most advanced technology is actually less sophisticated than theirs in some areas, while being centuries ahead in others. Is that about right, Cortana? Accurate summary, Cortana confirmed, her holographic form displaying data streams. I've been analyzing captured Shadow and Vorlon technology samples that Babylon 5 intelligence provided. The results are disturbing. Shadow vessels use quantum state manipulation that's theoretically more advanced than Forerunner phase technology. Vorlon, organic ships, integrate biological and technological systems in ways that exceed even flood assimilation capabilities. Both races possess knowledge that predates the Forerunners by millions of years. But their weapons are weaker than ours, Palmer interjected. We prove that. Mac rounds penetrate their hulls. Our small arms kill their soldiers. If they're so advanced, why are they so easy to hurt? Because they're not fighting to win quickly. They're fighting to manipulate, Dr. Halsey explained, her scientific mind already piecing together patterns. The Shadows and Vorlons don't want to conquer the younger races. They want to shape them. That requires controlled application of force, not overwhelming destruction. They intentionally limit themselves to keep the game interesting. Then we just became the piece that doesn't play by their rules, Chief observed. We don't care about their philosophical debate. We don't want to be shaped. We want to go home. That makes us unpredictable, dangerous. Exactly, Lasky agreed. Which brings us to the question we've been avoiding. Do we accept Sheridan's offer of alliance with Babylon 5? Do we take sides in a war we don't understand? Or do we try to find our own way home, regardless of the consequences? Sir, I've analyzed the Forerunner artifact readings from our arrival, Cortana interjected. The energy signature that pulled us through matches similar readings I'm detecting in this universe, specifically in a region called Sector 83 by 9 by 5, deep in what's marked as contested space between Shadow and Vorlon territories. There's something there, possibly another Forerunner artifact, possibly something analogous. It could be our way home. How far? Lasky asked. 200 light-years through territory controlled by at least 3 hostile factions, including significant shadow presence, Cortana replied. Without access to this universe's jump gate network, we'd need to travel through normal space using our slipspace drives. Estimated travel time, 4 months minimum, assuming we don't encounter resistance, which we absolutely will. 4 months, Palmer repeated. 4 months of fighting our way through unknown enemies with limited ammunition, no resupply, no reinforcements, and every faction in this galaxy either trying to recruit us or kill us. That's a suicide mission, Captain. Maybe, Lasky admitted, but it's also the only path home we've identified. The alternative is staying here indefinitely, getting drawn deeper into local politics, making permanent enemies of ancient powers we barely understand. I don't like either option, but I like the second one even less. Captain, Master Chief said quietly, his voice carrying weight that made everyone pause. I've fought impossible battles for 30 years, fought enemies that outnumbered us 1,000 to 1, fought wars we were supposed to lose, and I learned something. Sometimes the mission isn't about winning. It's about surviving long enough to find a way to win. We're not ready to make this run. We don't know enough about the enemy, don't understand the technology, don't have reliable intelligence on what's waiting in that sector. Going now would be suicide. But if we ally with Babylon 5, learn their technology, build a support network, then make our move, that's not suicide. That's strategy. The Chief's right, Dr. Halsey added, surprising everyone by agreeing, with tactical assessment rather than scientific curiosity. We need time. Time to study Shadow and Vorlon technology. Time to understand this universe's physics. Time to prepare for whatever we'll face in that contested sector. An alliance with Babylon 5 provides that time while keeping us from making enemies of the only faction that seems genuinely interested in helping rather than exploiting us. Lasky studied his senior staff, seeing consensus forming despite their different perspectives. All right, we ally with Babylon 5, but on our terms. We provide military support, they provide intelligence, and access to jump gate networks. We help them against the shadows. They help us get home. Cortana, draft an alliance proposal that protects our operational independence while committing to mutual defense. Palmer, start coordinating with Babylon 5 security on combined operations protocols. Chief, you and Blue Team are our liaison to Sheridan's command staff. Dr. Halsey, I want full scientific exchange with their best minds. Everyone clear? Sir, Palmer said carefully, there's one more issue. The Narn have been requesting a meeting. They're desperate for military support against the Centauri occupation of their homeworld. They're offering significant intelligence and resources, in exchange for UNSC intervention. Do we take that deal? That's not alliance. That's mercenary work, Lasky replied with distaste. We're not guns for hire. No, but we're warriors who protect people who can't protect themselves, Chief countered. The Narn are being occupied by the Centauri, using weapons the Centauri shouldn't have. Weapons sold illegally to terrorists that we've already proved we can counter. If the Narn are offering intelligence that helps us get home in exchange for helping them free their people from occupation, isn't that exactly the kind of mission Spartans were created for? Lasky looked at Chief with new understanding. You want to help them. I want to help people. Being oppressed by corrupt government using weapons irresponsibly, Chief clarified. That's what Spartans do. That's what the UNSC stands for. And if helping the Narn also gets us intelligence, we need and demonstrates to this galaxy that we're not conquerors, just protectors, that serves multiple strategic objectives. It's the right move, tactically and morally. I'm concerned about mission creep, Lasky admitted. We help the Narn free one colony, then another requests help. Then we're fighting a war that isn't ours. Where does it end? It ends when we go home, Chief replied simply. But while we're here, we either act according to UNSC values, or we abandon those values for convenience. I vote we stay true to what we are, even in wrong universe. Lasky was quiet for a long moment, then nodded. All right, we meet with the Narn. We assess their situation. If their intelligence is valuable and their cause is just, we provide limited military support. Emphasis on limited. This is surgical strike, not full-scale intervention. Palmer, assemble a strike package. Chief, you're leading this op. Show the Narn what Spartans can do. And everyone, remember, we're not conquerors. We're liberators. There's a difference, and that difference matters. Babylon 5, Narn Ambassador's Quarters. 6 hours later, Gakar paced his quarters with barely contained excitement as Master Chief, Sarah Palmer, and a Spartan fire team entered. The Narn ambassador was tall by human standards, nearly 7 feet, with mottled spotted skin, a mane of hair, and eyes that carried the weight of watching his people suffer under Centauri occupation. Master Chief, Gakar greeted with bow that suggested genuine respect rather than political posturing. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I have studied your combat record from the battle 2 days ago. Watching you kill a shadow champion with weapons that should not have been effective was educational. You do not fight like soldiers I have encountered before. You fight like warriors from our ancient texts, beings of perfect discipline who view combat as sacred art rather than necessary evil. We fight to protect people, Chief replied, his flat vocoder somehow conveying earnestness despite lacking inflection. We were told the Narn are suffering under Centauri occupation. That occupation forces use advanced weapons irresponsibly. That civilians are dying. We want to know more. Specifically, where did the Centauri get weapons sophisticated enough to maintain occupation? What are the strategic objectives of that occupation? And what would you want from UNSC intervention? Gakar pulled up holographic displays showing Narn colonies under Centauri control. The images were brutal. Forced labor camps, civilians executed for resistance, resources stripped to fund the Centauri war machine, and prominently featured in every image, advanced weapons that shouldn't be in Centauri hands. The Centauri acquired these weapons through black market deals with several sources, Gakar explained. Some came from Earth Alliance corporations, selling obsolete stock. Some came from shadows, trying to destabilize the region. but many came from my own people, who sold out their fellows for profit. War breeds corruption, Master Chief. The Centauri occupation of Narn began as imperial conquest. It continues because certain Narn collaborators profit from it, while the rest of my people suffer. You want us to target the collaborators as well as the occupiers, Palmer observed shrewdly. I want justice, Gakar corrected. True justice that doesn't discriminate based on species. The Centauri soldiers are following orders. They're victims of their own government's imperialism. The collaborators chose betrayal for profit. Both are guilty, but one is more guilty. Can your Spartans make such distinctions? Can you fight a war where the enemy isn't clearly defined by uniform or species? Yes, Chief replied without hesitation. Spartans conduct surgical operations against specific targets while minimizing civilian casualties. We've liberated colonies from Covenant occupation. We've eliminated insurrectionist cells while protecting innocent civilians caught in crossfire. Precision warfare is what we do. But we need intelligence, specific targets, defensive layouts, civilian population distributions. Can you provide that? I can provide everything you need, Gakar said, pulling up detailed files that suggested he'd been planning this operation for months. The primary target is the Narn colony of Ragesh III. Population: 50,000 Narn civilians. Centauri occupation force: 2,000 soldiers supported by automated defense systems and orbital weapons platforms. The occupation commander is Captain Lon Malari, cousin of Ambassador Londo Malari, the man whose ships you disabled during your arrival. He uses scorched earth tactics against resistance, executes civilians as reprisals, and he's currently preparing to strip the colony's resources completely before abandoning it as economically unviable. If we don't act within the next week, 50,000 Narn will be left on a dead world to starve. That's genocide, Palmer said flatly. Slow genocide, but genocide nonetheless. What's the strategic objective here? Why does the Centauri Republic want Ragesh III? They don't, Gakar admitted. Not anymore. It was valuable during the initial occupation for its mineral resources. Those have been exhausted. Now it's just a symbol. Proof that the Centauri can take what they want, and the Narn can't stop them. Abandoning it would show weakness, so they'll strip it and leave ruins as warning to other colonies, unless someone stops them. Chief studied the tactical data with eyes that had analyzed hundreds of similar situations. The math was clear. Orbital bombardment from the Infinity could eliminate the Centauri defense platforms in minutes. Spartan strike teams could infiltrate the surface and neutralize occupation forces with minimal civilian casualties. Pelican extraction could evacuate the population before the Centauri could respond. It was doable. But it was also intervention in a conflict the UNSC didn't fully understand. What happens after we liberate Ragesh III? Chief asked. The Centauri will retaliate. They won't accept losing a colony to unknown forces without response. You're asking us to start a war. No, Gakar corrected. I'm asking you to finish one. The war began when the Centauri conquered Narn. It continues through their occupation of our colonies. You wouldn't be starting conflict. You'd be ending occupation that should never have occurred. And yes, the Centauri will retaliate against me, against the Narn, against Babylon 5 for harboring you. But Master Chief, his voice carried conviction, born from watching his people suffer. We're already at war. We're already dying. The only question is whether we die as slaves, accepting our fate, or as free people fighting for liberation. You can give us that choice, You can give 50,000 people the chance to live free rather than die abandoned. Isn't that what Spartans do? Chief looked at Palmer, reading her body language through years of working with fellow Spartans. She was ready to go, ready to fight, ready to prove that even in wrong universe, the UNSC stood for something that mattered. We'll take it to Captain Lasky, Chief decided. If he approves, we'll conduct the operation within 72 hours. But Gakar, understand something. We're doing this because it's right, not because you offered us payment. We're doing this because leaving 50,000 people to die when we can save them violates everything the UNSC stands for. The intelligence you're providing is valuable, but it's not why we're helping. Clear? Perfectly clear, Gakar replied with something like awe. Master Chief, in all my years of diplomacy, I've never encountered warriors who help purely because it's morally correct rather than strategically advantageous. If all your UNSC soldiers possess such integrity, your universe is fortunate indeed. And perhaps this universe will be better for having encountered you, even if your stay is temporary. Shadow vessel, hyperspace, concurrent timeline. Mr. Morden sat in what passed for a conference room on a shadow vessel, a space that hurt human eyes to look at directly, where geometry suggested dimensions that shouldn't exist, where ancient evil planned strategies that had toppled civilizations. The UNSC forces are more problematic than anticipated, Morden said to the shadow forms surrounding him. They've allied with Babylon 5. They're planning intervention in the Centauri-Narn conflict, and they possess military capabilities that challenge even your vessels. Perhaps we should eliminate them before they become greater threat. The shadows responded in harmonics that bypassed language and inserted concepts directly into consciousness. No. Elimination creates martyrs. Manipulation creates tools. The UNSC represents chaos, conflict, evolution through struggle, advancement through warfare. They are ideal for our purposes if properly guided. We will not destroy them. We will corrupt them. Show them that their precious honor is weakness. Show them that survival requires compromising principles. Show them that in this universe, only the strong endure and the moral perish. They will become our greatest instruments or be destroyed by their own idealism. Either outcome serves us. And if they resist corruption? Morden asked. Then we demonstrate what resistance costs. The Narn colony they plan to liberate. We have forces there, hidden, waiting. When the UNSC attacks, we will reveal ourselves. We will show them that their intervention enables greater suffering than their neutrality. We will teach them that every choice they make in this universe has consequences they cannot predict or control. We will break their certainty. And when they are broken, desperate, willing to compromise, then we will offer them what they truly want, a way home. In exchange for small favors, small compromises, small betrayals of their principles, until they become ours without realizing they've been conquered. Morden smiled. You're going to turn them into everything they hate. That's brilliant. That's cruel. That's perfect. That is how we win. Not through force, through inevitability. The UNSC will fall because all who cling to honor in universe of chaos eventually fall. And when they do, we will be there to catch them, or to ensure they shatter completely. UNSC Infinity, Pelican Bay, 72 hours later, Operation Dawn Thunder 12. Pelican dropships sat in the Infinity's launch bay, their troop compartments filled with the most lethal strike force ever assembled for a colonial liberation operation. 100 Spartans from multiple programs, armed with weapons ranging from standard UNSC ordnance to experimental Forerunner equipment, supported by longsword fighters and orbital fire support from the Infinity's MAC batteries. Master Chief addressed the assembled Spartans with the economical briefing style that came from decades of combat operations. Mission objective: liberate 50,000 Narn civilians from Centauri occupation on Ragish 3. Rules of engagement: neutralize military targets, minimize civilian casualties, extract population before Centauri reinforcements arrive. Timeline: we have 4 hours from initial insertion to full evacuation. Any longer, and we'll be fighting the entire Centauri Navy. Questions? What if the Centauri use civilians as shields? The Spartan Fu asked. Then we use precision weapons and accept that some targets are too difficult to engage cleanly, Chief replied. We're liberators, not executioners. If we can't take a shot without endangering civilians, we don't take the shot. Clear? Nods all around. These were warriors who understood that sometimes the hardest combat decision was choosing not to fight. What about shadow interference? Another Spartan asked. Intelligence suggests they have interest in this colony. What if they show up mid-operation? Then we adapt, Chief replied. Shadow vessels can be hurt. We proved that. Shadow soldiers can be killed. We proved that too. If they interfere, we engage and eliminate. But our priority is the civilians. Everything else is secondary. We came to this universe by accident. But while we're here, we act according to UNSC values. That means protecting people who can't protect themselves. That means fighting with honor even when our enemies don't. That means proving that even in wrong universe, Spartans stand for something that matters. Now mount up. We've got 50,000 people waiting for rescue, and we're not disappointing them. The Spartans boarded their Pelicans with practiced efficiency, and within minutes, the strike force was launching from the Infinity's bays. Behind them, Captain Lasky watched from the bridge with mixture of pride and concern. Cortana, Lasky said quietly, what's your assessment of mission success probability? 93% for primary objective, liberating the colony, Cortana replied. 67% for secondary objective, extracting without major casualties. 42% for tertiary objective, completing mission without triggering wider war. Captain, the Shadows know we're coming. I don't know how, but their vessels have been repositioning in that sector for the past 24 hours. This feels like a trap. Then we spring the trap and survive it, Lasky replied. That's what Spartans do. Ready all MAC batteries. If the Shadows want to test us again, we'll remind them why boarding the Infinity was a terrible idea. All hands to combat stations. Let's show this galaxy what the UNSC does when people need saving. Ragesh 3, Narn Colony, H-hour. The Pelicans came in low and fast, their pilots using terrain masking to avoid Centauri sensors until the last possible moment. When the occupation forces finally detected the incoming craft, it was far too late to mount effective defense. Blue Team hit the ground first, their armor's active camouflage making them nearly invisible as they infiltrated the Centauri command center. Chief moved through the facility like a ghost, his motion tracker showing guard positions, his combat experience identifying weak points in their defensive perimeter. Contact eliminated, Linda reported, her sniper rifle taking out a Centauri sentry from 800 meters with shot that would have been impossible for non-augmented humans. Path clear to the command center. Acknowledged, Chief replied, his own approach bringing him to the command center's entrance, where Captain Lon Malari, was frantically trying to understand what was attacking his base. Chief entered through the door, didn't breach it, just opened it politely and walked in, and raised his MA-5D assault rifle. "Captain Malari," Chief said calmly, "by authority of the United Nations Space Command, and in accordance with our alliance with the Narn Republic, I'm hereby liberating this colony. Your occupation is over. Stand down, order your forces to surrender, and we'll ensure you're treated as prisoners of war with full rights. Resist, and we'll neutralize you with extreme prejudice. Choose." Malari stared at the 7-foot armored warrior who'd appeared in his command center like an avenging angel, processed the complete failure of his security, and made the smart choice. "My forces will stand down, but you're making a terrible mistake. The Centauri Republic will not tolerate this. They will retaliate with overwhelming force. You've just started a war you cannot win." "We'll take our chances," Chief replied. "Now order the stand down. All forces, all positions. We're evacuating the civilian population, and we're doing it peacefully if you cooperate. Do it." Malari gave the orders, and across Ragesh 3, Centauri forces surrendered to Spartans, who appeared seemingly from nowhere, disarmed them efficiently, and secured key positions with precision that suggested this wasn't their first liberation operation. The civilian evacuation began immediately. Pelicans landing in population centers, Spartans guiding terrified Narn civilians to the dropships with professionalism that calmed panic. Medical teams treating injuries sustained during the occupation. It was going perfectly, too perfectly. And then reality tore open above the colony, and 6 shadow vessels emerged from hyperspace with weapons already charging. "Shadow contacts." Cortana's warning echoed across all Spartan comm channels. 6 vessels, combat formation, weapons hot. "Chief, they're not here to observe. They're here to attack. The colony is about to become a battlefield." Chief looked up at the shadow vessels descending toward Ragesh 3, then at the 50,000 civilians, still waiting for evacuation, then at his Spartans, who were outnumbered and outgunned, but had never let that stop them before. "All Spartans," Chief transmitted with absolute calm. "New mission objective: defend the civilians while evacuation completes. Engage shadow forces with all available weapons. Longsword Squadron, intercept those vessels. Infinity, we need fire support now. And somebody tell Captain Lasky that the shadows just made this personal." The Battle of Ragesh 3 was about to begin, and the UNSC was about to show this galaxy what happened when you threaten people under Spartan protection. The 6 shadow vessels descended through Ragesh 3's atmosphere like falling nightmares, their impossible geometries distorting light around them. Weapons charging with energy that suggested they intended to make this colony an object lesson in what happened when younger races defied ancient authority. Master Chief stood on the colony's central plaza, surrounded by thousands of Narn civilians still waiting for evacuation, and made the calculation that every Spartan learned during training. Sometimes you can't save everyone, but you fight like hell trying anyway. "Linda, Kelly, Fred, take positions on the high ground," Chief commanded, his tactical overlay showing optimal firing solutions across the colony. "Target those shadow vessels during their phase-in windows. We proved we can hurt them. Now, we prove we can kill them. All other Spartans, defensive perimeter around evacuation zones. Nothing, and I mean nothing, gets through to these civilians. Longsword Squadron, you're our heir. Superiority. Keep those vessels busy while we extract the population." "Chief," Cortana's voice carried unusual urgency. The shadow vessels aren't just attacking, they're broadcasting. They want you to hear this. The transmission came through on multiple frequencies, bypassing UNSC encryption like it was barely there, carrying Mr. Morden's voice with its characteristic blend of false sympathy and genuine malice. Master Chief, we're disappointed. We offered you alliance, offered you knowledge, power, a way home. Instead, you chose to interfere in local politics, to liberate a colony that was never yours to save, to pretend your UNSC values matter in a universe you don't understand. So now we'll teach you what your heroism costs. Every Narn who dies in the next hour, that's on you. Every Spartan who falls defending people who mean nothing to your mission, your responsibility. You could have stayed neutral, could have focused on getting home. Instead, you chose to play hero. Let's see if your conscience survives the consequences. The shadow vessels opened fire. Not at the Spartans, at the evacuation pelicans already loaded with civilians, at the medical stations treating wounded, at the population centers where thousands still waited for rescue. The aliens weren't trying to win a military engagement. They were trying to maximize suffering to break the UNSC's moral foundation. They chose the wrong opponents. All Spartans, weapons free, Chief roared, his voice carrying across the comm channels with authority that transcended rank. Priority target, those shadow vessels. They want to teach us a lesson? Let's teach them why you don't threaten civilians when Spartans are present. Linda's sniper rifle spoke first. The SRS-99 S5 sending 14.5 114mm rounds downrange at velocities that made the projectiles invisible until impact. She'd calculated the shadow vessel's phasing patterns during the previous battle, had spent 72 hours analyzing their attack, rhythms, and now her augmented reflexes, combined with superhuman patience, to place shots during the precise microseconds when the alien ships became vulnerable. Her first round struck a shadow vessel's weapon mount during its phase-in, and the exotic armor that had protected these ships for millennia failed against kinetic energy delivered with surgical precision. The weapon exploded, secondary detonations cascading through the vessel's structure, and suddenly, ancient evil was bleeding. Confirmed kill, Linda reported with satisfaction. Shadow vessels are vulnerable to massed kinetic fire during phase-in. All snipers, target weapon systems. We can't kill these things outright, but we can mission kill them. Across the colony, 30 Spartan snipers opened fire with coordination that would have made conventional military forces weep with envy. Each shooter had analyzed the shadow vessel's patterns. Each had calculated optimal firing solutions. And when they fired, in coordinated volley, the shadow forces encountered something they'd never faced before. Infantry, small arms fire, that actually posed a legitimate threat to their vessels. But the shadows adapted quickly. The remaining 5 vessels increased their phase cycling frequency, making targeting windows even smaller, and began deploying ground forces. Shadow soldiers by the hundreds, insectoid warriors in black armor, wielding energy weapons that could unmake matter at molecular levels. Ground contacts, Palmer transmitted from her position, guarding Evacuation Zone 3. Shadow soldiers, multiple platoon strength, advancing on civilian positions. All Spartans, close quarters engagement. Show these things what happens when they try to fight us on the ground. What followed was urban warfare at its most brutal and most technical. Shadow soldiers were fast, deadly, and experienced in combat across thousands of worlds. Spartans were faster, more lethal, and had been engineered specifically to fight enemies that could kill normal humans with casual ease. Fire Team Osiris held the eastern approaches against 50 Shadow soldiers using nothing but standard UNSC weapons and tactics that had been refined through the Covenant War. Spartan Locke called targets with machine-like precision, his team executing kills with efficiency that turned combat into mathematics. Fire Team Majestic defended the medical stations where wounded Narn civilians were receiving treatment. When Shadow soldiers tried to use patients as shields, the Spartans switched to CQC, close quarters combat, where their augmented strength and reflexes made them living weapons. Spartan Thorn personally killed 7 Shadow soldiers in hand-to-hand combat that would have been suicide for non-enhanced humans. And at Evacuation Zone 1, Master Chief demonstrated why he'd become legend across the UNSC. 20 Shadow soldiers tried to overwhelm his position through coordinated assault that would have crushed conventional defenses. Chief met them in the open, his BR-55 battle rifle firing in controlled bursts that dropped aliens with surgical precision, his armor's shields absorbing their return fire, his combat computer calculating solutions faster than enemy tactical systems could adapt. When they tried to swarm him in melee range, Chief proved that Spartans weren't just long-range combatants. His armored fist caved in an alien soldier's chest. His knee strike shattered another spine. His combat knife, a simple blade that became lethal in augmented hands, opened throats and severed limbs with technique that turned violence into art form. He cleared the entire squad in 43 seconds, and across the battlefield, other Spartans matched his performance. The Shadow ground forces had encountered opponents who could match them soldier for soldier, and they were losing. But in orbit, the real battle was just beginning. Ragesh 3. Orbital Space, Longsword Squadron versus Shadow Vessels. Lieutenant Commander Sarah Mitchell piloted her GATL-1 Longsword Interceptor. With skill earned through 20 years of combat operations, her wingmen tight in formation as they engaged 5 Shadow vessels that outmassed their fighters by thousands of tons. "This is insane," her wingman muttered over comm. "We're gnats fighting giants. How are we supposed to hurt these things?" "With science," Mitchell replied, remembering the briefing Cortana had given them. The Shadow vessels phase in and out of normal space, but phasing requires enormous energy. When they fire weapons, they have to be fully phased in, or the energy discharge would tear them apart. That's our window. Wait for weapon charge up, then hit them with everything we've got. The longswords carried 120mm rotary cannons and ASGM-10 missiles, ordnance designed to kill Covenant Seraphs and Banshees, perhaps inadequate against Shadow vessels, but augmented by one critical advantage: Cortana's tactical calculations distributed to every pilot, simultaneously, showing exact timing windows and optimal strike vectors. "Weapon charge detected on Shadow Vessel 3, Cortana transmitted. "Window opens in 3, 2, 1, fire." 12 longswords fired simultaneously, their combined ordnance striking the Shadow vessel during its moment of vulnerability. Missiles detonated against exotic armor, rotary cannons chewed through superstructure, and the ancient warship reeled under assault that shouldn't have been possible from fighters. It didn't die, but it withdrew, phasing out of normal space to repair damage, reducing the Shadow forces from 5 to 4 vessels. "We can't kill them, but we can force them to retreat," Mitchell realized. "All longswords, coordinate fire. Cortana, give us targeting solutions. We're going to bleed these ancient bastards one withdrawal at a time. The dogfight that followed would be studied in UNSC tactical schools for decades, had any survived to teach it. Human pilots and craft a fraction, the size of their opponents, using inferior weapons compensated by superior tactics and AI-enhanced coordination, forcing ancient vessels that had destroyed fleets to fight defensively. But even as the longswords fought, new contacts emerged from hyperspace. Multiple jump points opening. Cortana's warning carried across all channels. Centauri reinforcements, 2 Primus-class battlecruisers, 4 Vorlons-class cruisers, and supporting craft. They're targeting the Infinity and our ground forces. In the Infinity's war room, Captain Lasky made the decision that would define this engagement. Mac batteries target the Centauri capital ships. Sub-Mac batteries engage shadow vessels. Longswords maintain harassment pattern. All Pelicans maximize evacuation speed. We need those civilians off-planet in the next 20 minutes, or this becomes a shooting gallery with them as targets. And someone get me Babylon 5 on comm. We need reinforcements now. The Infinity's Supermac cannons, weapons, capable of cracking planets when fired at full power, targeted the Centauri battlecruisers with precision that shocked everyone watching. The tungsten penetrators, each weighing 3,000 tons and traveling at 40% light speed, crossed the distance between ships in heartbeats. The first Centauri battlecruiser's shields, energy barriers that had withstood years of combat, failed instantly under impact that delivered kinetic energy measured in gigatons. The round punched completely through the vessel, entered the second battlecruiser, and kept going until both ships were mission-killed, tumbling through space with their reactor cores breached and life support failing. My God! Commander Ivanova breathed from Babylon 5's CNC, watching the battle unfold through long-range sensors. Sheridan, the Infinity just disabled 2 Centauri battlecruisers with a single shot. One shot. Those vessels represent a quarter of the Centauri Republic's primary battle line. The UNSC just changed the military balance of power in this entire sector with one trigger pull. Then we better make sure they survive this, Sheridan replied, already coordinating response. Get me the White Star. Get me every Minbari war cruiser in range. Get me the Narn heavy cruiser Jiquan. I'm calling in every favor I have. If the UNSC goes down defending Narn civilians, every faction in this galaxy will know that Babylon 5 abandoned its allies when they needed us most. We're going in. Ragesh. 3. Surface, the last stand. Chief's motion tracker showed the nightmare scenario developing. Shadow soldiers converging from multiple directions. Centauri reinforcements landing to reclaim the colony. Civilians still scattered across evacuation zones. And Spartans holding positions that should have been overrun hours ago through sheer stubborn refusal to accept defeat. Cortana, evacuation status? Chief demanded, his ammunition counter showing dangerously low levels after 90 minutes of continuous combat. 63% complete, Cortana replied. 30,000 civilians evacuated, 20,000 still waiting. Chief, at current extraction rates, we need another 40 minutes. But Shadow and Centauri forces will overwhelm our positions in 15. The math doesn't work. We can't save everyone. Unacceptable, Chief replied flatly. Find me a solution that saves everyone. That's an order. I'm an AI, not a miracle worker, Cortana protested. Even I can't. Wait. Chief, I'm detecting something. Another hyperspace window opening. Big one. Multiple vessels. If those are shadow reinforcements? They're not. A new voice interrupted on the comm channel. Ambassador Delenn, transmitting from a Minbury war cruiser that emerged from hyperspace with weapons hot. Master Chief, this is the Minbury Federation vessel, White Star. We are here to honor our alliance with Babylon 5 and support your evacuation operation. The Shadows claim this is their battle. We say that any battle involving forces of light against ancient darkness is everyone's battle, and we will not abandon warriors who risk themselves for innocence. Minbari Fleet, engage shadow vessels. Show them what it means to face the warrior caste. 6 Minbari war cruisers emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation, their neutron cannons already firing at shadow vessels with intensity that forced the ancient ships to divert attention from ground forces to deal with new threat. Behind them came a Narn heavy cruiser, the Gikwan under command of Captain Nakal, broadcasting in clear. The Narn regime does not abandon those who fight for our people. All batteries, fire. And finally, impossibly, 3 Earth Alliance Omega-class destroyers arrived, Captain Sheridan's voice cutting through the chaos. UNSC Infinity, this is Babylon 5 Actual. We are joining this engagement under mutual defense protocols. All EA vessels, weapons free, engage anything shooting at our allies, and somebody tell Master Chief that Babylon 5 honors its debts. He saved our station 2 days ago. Today, we save his people. This is what alliance means. The Battle of Ragish III transformed from UNSC Last Stand into coalition warfare that this galaxy had never witnessed before. Minbari war cruisers exchanged fire with shadow vessels using tactics refined over the last Shadow War. Narn vessels focused on Centauri forces with fury born from decades of occupation. Earth Alliance destroyers provided overlapping fire support that covered evacuation routes. And on the ground, Spartans held their positions not alone, but as part of combined arms operation that demonstrated what different species could accomplish when united by common cause. All civilians move to evacuation zones now. Chief transmitted across all frequencies. Coalition forces are buying us time. Don't waste it. Every Pelican, maximum capacity. Pack them in until the hulls creak. We're getting everyone out. The evacuation accelerated. Pelicans, loaded well beyond rated capacity. Their pilots coaxing every gram of thrust from overtaxed engines. Medical personnel worked miracles, keeping wounded stable during extraction. And Spartans provided covering fire that kept Shadow and Centauri forces focused on them rather than defenseless civilians. But the Shadows weren't finished. The largest vessel, their command ship, had been holding back, analyzing the coalition's tactics, waiting for the optimal moment to strike decisively. That moment arrived when it detected the pattern. All evacuation routes converged on a single landing zone where Pelicans were staging for final extraction. One strike there, with sufficient force, would kill thousands of civilians and break the coalition's will. The Shadow command ship phased fully into normal space, its primary weapon, a cannon that could crack continents, charging with energy that made nearby space distort from sheer power concentration. And it targeted the landing zone where 15,000 Narn civilians waited for rescue. Shadow command ship, charging primary weapon, Cortana screamed across all channels. Impact in 17 seconds. Landing zone will be completely destroyed. Civilian casualties, total. Chief, we can't stop this. Chief looked at the landing zone. 15,000 people who'd survived occupation and were about to die because Spartans had tried to save them and refused to accept it. Cortana, can the Infinity hit that ship before it fires? Not with MAC rounds. Travel time is too long. The shadow vessel will fire before impact. Chief, there's no solution. We can't save them. I'm sorry. Wrong answer, Chief roared. There's always a solution. Infinity, this is Master Chief. Target that Shadow Command ship and fire everything. I don't care if the shot arrives too late. I don't care if it won't stop them. I want that ship to know that we don't quit, that we fight until the end. That... Chief, Cortana interrupted quietly. There is one option, one chance, but you won't like it. Tell me. The Forerunner artifact readings I detected in contested space? I'm detecting similar energy signature right now. Here, on Ragesh 3, underground, beneath the landing zone. It's been dormant for millions of years, but it's responding to the shadow weapon charge. If we could activate it, how? Chief demanded. By doing something incredibly stupid that violates every safety protocol, Cortana replied. You'd need to get to that artifact in the next 12 seconds. Interface your armor's systems with Forerunner technology we don't understand, and channel enough energy through your Mjolnir suit to wake up ancient machinery that could either save everyone or explode and kill everyone, including you. Odds of success? 14%. Odds of survival, even if it works? 23%. I don't recommend this, Chief. I'm strongly advising against... Do it, Chief interrupted, already sprinting toward the coordinates Cortana transmitted. Patch me through to all Spartans. Chief, you'll die. Do it! Cortana complied, because arguing with Chief when he'd made up his mind was pointless. And across all Spartan channels, Chief transmitted what might be his final words. All Spartans, this is Master Chief. If what I'm about to do fails, complete the evacuation regardless of casualties. Get every civilian out, even if you have to pile them 3 deep in the Pelicans. That's an order. If I don't make it, someone tell Commander Palmer that command of Spartan forces is hers. Tell Captain Lasky that fighting alongside the UNSC has been my honor. And tell everyone who survives this, tell them that Spartans don't quit. We fight until we win, or until we can't fight anymore. And today, we won. Chief out. He reached the artifact location, a sealed chamber beneath the landing zone, its entrance buried under centuries of sediment. No time for careful excavation. Chief's armored fist punched through the seal, his shields absorbing damage from the impact, and he descended into darkness, lit only by his helmet lamps. The Forerunner artifact was there, a crystalline structure pulsing with energy that responded to his presence, to his armor's systems, to the desperation that drove him. Cortana, interface now. Interfacing. Chief, the energy feedback is, this is going to hurt. Your armor's power systems aren't designed for this. Your shields will fail. Chief jammed his armored hand directly into the artifact's central node, and power beyond human comprehension flooded through Mjolnir systems never meant to channel Forerunner energy. Every warning indicator in his HUD turned red. His shields collapsed instantly. His armor began overheating from energy throughput that should have killed him. But John 1:17 had survived impossible situations through sheer stubborn refusal to die when people needed him alive. The artifact activated. Above the landing zone, the Shadow Command ship fired its continent killer weapon. The beam lanced downward with energy that would have vaporized everything within kilometers, civilians and Spartans alike. And then the Forerunner artifact released energy that had been stored for 4 million years. A protective field that enveloped the landing zone in bubble of warped space-time where shadow weapons simply ceased to exist. The attack dissipated against the field harmlessly. 15,000 civilians survived. The coalition forces stared in disbelief at protection that even Vorlon technology couldn't replicate. And in the chamber below, Master Chief collapsed as his armor's power systems failed, Cortana screaming his vitals across the comm network. "Chief is down. Repeat, Chief is down. Massive power overload. Armor systems critical. I need medical evac now." But the last thing John 1:17 saw before unconsciousness claimed him was Cortana's holographic form, with tears in her digital eyes, whispering, "You did it. You saved them. All of them. You impossible, stubborn, heroic idiot. You actually did it." UNSC Infinity Medical Bay. 18 hours later, Chief woke to white ceiling tiles and the smell of antiseptic that meant he was in medical. His armor had been removed, first time in weeks, and Dr. Halsey stood beside his bed, with expression mixing relief and fury. "Your armor is destroyed," Halsey said without preamble. "The power systems are fused, the shields are permanently offline, the neural interface is fried. You channeled enough energy through that suit to power a city for a year in 30 seconds. While wearing it, you should be dead, Chief. Burned from the inside out by energy feedback. Do you understand how close you came to dying?" "Did everyone survive?" Chief asked, his voice hoarse. Halsey's expression softened slightly. "Yes. All 50,000 Narn civilians evacuated. All Spartans survived, though 12 required medical treatment for combat injuries. Coalition forces suffered minimal casualties. Yobas triggered a Forerunner artifact that saved 15,000 people from certain death. You're a hero, Chief. Again, as usual. Which doesn't change the fact that you're also an idiot who nearly killed himself. Again, as usual." "Worth it," Chief replied simply. "It always is with you," Halsey said with resignation. "Rest. You've earned it. And Chief, when you're recovered, Captain Lasky wants to see you. Apparently, activating that Forerunner artifact did more than save civilians. It transmitted a signal. One that several very interested parties detected, including the Vorlons, who are extremely curious about how you activated technology that predates their civilization. Congratulations. You've just made the UNSC even more famous, or infamous, possibly both." As Halsey left, Cortana's avatar appeared in Chief's HUD, or what remained of it, his damaged armor propped in the corner of the medical bay. "Chief," Cortana said softly, "that artifact you activated, it's part of a network, a galaxy-spanning system that the Forerunners built in this universe millions of years ago. And now that we've activated one node, I can detect the others, including the one in contested space that could be our way home. We have a path now, a real path. One that leads through Shadow and Vorlon territory, past hostile forces, through dangers we can't fully predict. But it's there. We can go home. After we rest," Chief replied, "and after we help Babylon 5 with whatever comes next. They helped us. We helped them. That's what allies do. That's what heroes do," Cortana corrected. "Rest now. The galaxy isn't going to stop trying to kill us just because you're tired. But for once, for today, we actually won. Completely. Totally. Without compromise. 50,000 people are alive because you refused to accept that they couldn't be saved. That's why I followed you for 30 years, Chief. Because you make the impossible possible. And I wouldn't want to be partnered with anyone else, even if you do regularly try to get yourself killed saving people." Chief closed his eyes, exhaustion finally claiming him. The Battle of Ragesh III was over. The UNSC had proven itself to this galaxy as protectors rather than conquerors. And somewhere in contested space, A path home waited. But that was tomorrow's mission. Today, they'd saved 50,000 lives, and that was enough. 6 weeks later, Babylon 5. Council Chambers. The Council Chamber held representatives from every major power in the galaxy. Earth Alliance, Minbari Federation, Narn Regime, Centauri Republic, Vorlon Empire, and, newly added, the United Nations Space Command. Captain Lasky stood before the council with Master Chief at his side. Both men representing a force that had fundamentally altered this galaxy's balance of power in less than 2 months. Ambassador Delenn spoke first. Captain Lasky, the Minbari Federation formally recognizes the UNSC as independent power with full diplomatic standing. You have proven yourselves warriors of honor who fight for the innocent rather than for conquest. This is rare in our galaxy. You are welcome among us. G'Kar added with genuine gratitude. The Narn regime owes the UNSC a debt that cannot be repaid. 50,000 of our people live because your Spartans refuse to abandon them. We offer unconditional alliance and support for your mission to return home. Whatever resources we possess are yours. Even Londo Mollari, though clearly pained, acknowledged reality. The Centauri Republic recognizes that the UNSC possesses military capabilities that demand respect. We formally withdraw claims on Ragesh III and other contested colonies. We also suggest that perhaps arms sales to certain parties should be reconsidered. For diplomatic reasons, obviously. But it was Ambassador Kosh, the Vorlon representative, who rarely spoke and never clearly, whose words carried the most weight. You activated the ancient network, technology my people did not build. Technology that predates our civilization. You seek to use this network to return to your origin. This changes the pattern. This was not foreseen. You are chaos introduction. Question: will chaos serve evolution or destruction? We're not chaos, Chief replied, his rebuilt armor gleaming under the chamber lights. We're soldiers trying to get home. We didn't ask to be here. Didn't ask to change your galaxy's politics. Didn't ask to fight your ancient war. But while we're here, we'll act according to our values. We'll protect people who need protection. We'll fight enemies who prey on the innocent. And we won't apologize for refusing to accept that some people are beyond saving. If that makes us chaos in your ordered universe, so be it. We'll take chaos over becoming pawns in your million-year game. Kosh was silent for a long moment, then, understanding. This is the first step to wisdom. Perhaps you're ready, perhaps not. Time will reveal truth. But know this, the path you seek leads through darkness, even shadows fear. The network's heart lies in contested space where ancient evils sleep. Waking them to go home may doom this galaxy. Are you willing to pay that price? Lasky and Chief exchanged glances. Years of working together, allowing wordless communication. Then Lasky replied, "We're willing to try finding a way that doesn't require paying terrible prices. We're willing to work with allies to minimize risks. But Ambassador Kosh, understand something. The UNSC doesn't abandon its people, doesn't quit because the mission is difficult, doesn't accept that home is impossible. We'll find a way back that doesn't destroy this galaxy. And if we can't, if the choice comes down to sacrificing your universe or accepting exile, we'll make that choice when we face it, not before. Not because ancient powers say it's inevitable." "Then prepare," Kosh replied. 6 months. The network requires 6 months to fully awaken. 6 months to reach the heart. 6 months. where every faction will try to stop you, recruit you, or destroy you. 6 months to prove whether your chaos serves evolution or extinction. We will watch. We will wait. And when the time comes, we will act. For the good of all. Even if you do not understand what good truly means. The council adjourned, and as representatives departed, Sheridan pulled Lasky and Chief aside. 6 months. That's how long you've got to prepare for the most dangerous journey anyone's attempted in this galaxy's recorded history. You're going to need allies, supplies, intelligence. Babylon 5 can provide all three. But Lasky, understand something. When you leave, you'll be taking military capability that currently keeps 3 different wars from escalating. The balance of power will shift again, probably badly. You'll be leaving us vulnerable. Then we leave something behind, Lasky replied. Dr. Halsey is preparing technical documentation on UNSC weapons, shields, and tactics. Not the classified stuff. Not slip-space drives or Nova bombs, but enough to help Babylon 5 defend itself. We're also leaving a volunteer force. Spartans who've chosen to remain and help fight the Shadow War. 23 warriors who decided that going home matters less than helping people who can't defend themselves. They're yours, Sheridan. Use them well. 23 Spartans, Sheridan repeated with awe. You're giving us 23 super soldiers who can each fight like entire platoons. That's an army. That's a down payment, Chief corrected. On a debt we owe for Babylon 5's help. And on a hope that when we return to our universe, if we return, we'll come back someday to see how you're doing. Because Sheridan, you and your people are worth knowing, worth fighting beside, worth remembering. And if we can find a way to stabilize the link between our universes, we'll make sure the UNSC and Babylon 5 remain allies, across dimensional barriers, forever. I'll drink to that, Sheridan replied, raising an imaginary glass. To alliances that transcend universes, to warriors who fight for honor, and to the slim chance that maybe, just maybe, humans from 2 different realities can make both realities better through cooperation. Safe journey, Lasky. And Chief, thanks for showing this galaxy what real heroes look like. As they departed, Cortana whispered to Chief through private comm. 6 months until we can go home. 83% probability we'll face Shadow and Vorlon interference. 91% probability of multiple major combat engagements. 67% probability we'll make enemies of someone currently neutral. And 12% probability the network's activation will trigger consequences we can't predict. This is going to be the most dangerous 6 months of our lives. So Standard Tuesday, Chief replied. Standard Tuesday, Cortana agreed with digital laugh. Just once, I'd like a boring Tuesday, where nothing explodes and nobody tries to kill us. Then you're partnered with the wrong Spartan, Chief observed. Boring isn't in my vocabulary. No, Cortana agreed, but impossible isn't either. And that's why we'll make it home, against all odds, despite every enemy, through any obstacle, because you're too stubborn to accept failure, and I'm too invested in seeing what ridiculousness you'll pull next. 6 months, Chief. Let's make them count. Outside the station, the UNSC Infinity hung in space, damaged but operational, carrying warriors from another universe who'd become legends in this one. They'd fought shadows and survived. They'd liberated colonies from occupation. They'd activated ancient technology that could change everything. And now they prepared for the final journey through contested space past hostile forces toward the network heart where a path home waited. The UNSC had arrived in the Babylon 5 universe by accident. They would leave by choice, and the galaxy would remember them long after they were gone. They came from another universe. They brought weapons that could kill gods. They fought with honor when honor seemed suicidal. They saved 50,000 people when everyone said it was impossible. They proved that sometimes the greatest power isn't technology or strength. It's the refusal to accept that some people can't be saved. This is the story of the UNSC in Babylon 5. This is the story of Spartans meeting ancient evil. This is the story of how one ship and 300 warriors changed the balance of power across an entire galaxy. Not through conquest, but through conviction. Not through domination, but through determination. They were chaos. They were hope. They were the UNSC. And they showed this galaxy what never quit really means Spartans never die. They just fight in different universes,